that will turn, for example, your amplification on, like just happened for me. If you want to shut it back off. Let's call the meeting to order. Okay, good to go. All right, so we are going to start our public speak out portion of our meeting. Today is Monday, July 8th. We have 5 speakers registered to speak out today. Our first speaker is Ariana Gray. Okay. Okay, well, Mr. Howard is also registered, so Mr. Howard, why don't you come forward? I can't really hear what you're saying, Stephen. I'd like to speak after the other speakers, if that's okay. Well, I can't wait for everybody. We got to get it started because I got to start the meeting. No. You said 5 speakers, right? There are 5 speakers, yes. Okay, but Ariana Gray, I thought you were saying something about her going later. Okay. So I'll let you go after the next speaker if that's okay with her. Tony McGrath, is that you, Tony? Oh, McCann. Sorry about that. Are you comfortable speaking first? Okay, come on up, Tony. You're up. So we give everybody 3 minutes, and we got this little clock here so you can keep track of your time. Thank you, Ms. McGann.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Tony McGann. Thank you for this open session, so I appreciate that. I'm here today because I'm a homeowner on Acrebrook Road, which is part of 16 acres. It's a street off of Parker Street. I've owned my home for 28 years there. It's almost paid for, so I'm ready to celebrate, but I'm miserable. At this time, there's a homeowner across the street from me who's renting out rooms. He's a family of 4 that lives there. He doesn't allow his tenants to park in the driveway, so therefore they're dumped on the street, and they're impacting my house because I'm right across the street. This has been going on for the last 10 months. Last October it started. So that's been my nightmare. I survived a tornado on Acrebrook Road, but this is rough. I'm ready to put up a for sale sign, because it's impacting my value of my home negatively. They only rent to men, and so I don't know how they screen these men, but the big problem is parking. My parents can't even come over anymore without finding a spot around my house. There's a total of 3 tenants, all men, like I said. 2 of them have 2 vehicles apiece, a work truck and a car. And then there's another tenant with just a car. So my property is like dense, packed with all these cars on the street. So I'm here pleading for help to see what my next steps can be. I did a little research myself and found Springfield's ordinance, zoning ordinance. And lo and behold, it says that lodging and boarding, you can accommodate up to 3 lodgers or boarders, including furnishing a board for such lodgers or boarders, is permitted in residential districts. So if this is still on the books, I need help. How could this be if we're trying to encourage home ownership, keep the values going the best that they can, and just have a sound environment, safe environment. I have safety concerns now and everything. So just using your language from this ordinance, it talks about keeping the, right here, just keeping the character of a neighborhood. I'm almost on an acre of land. I enjoy that. Now I look out my front window, I see this junk truck full of junk, and it stays there for 10 days, weeks at a time. They don't move it because they're in their other car. So I'm pleading for help from the council to review these ordinances and see how it affects residential single-family homes in the city of Springfield.
Yes, you have to turn your microphone on.
Thank you.
Should I turn mine off?
You can leave
I
yours
just
on.
want to ask
Okay.
a question.
Sure.
Does it say anything on the ordinance about parking when they do the borders?
Only if you have like a home-based business, it gets into more details, but it doesn't. I couldn't find anything regarding
Okay. All right.
my situation. But why was this allowed in the first place? I wouldn't buy my house now because of this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. and
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGann. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is Marty Curley. Mr. Curley?
Good evening. Martin Curley, live at 96 Judson Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. The current president of the Springfield Police Patrolmen's Union. I'm here to speak on behalf and urge you to support the act later on to give Officer Misael Rodriguez a special disability pension. Officer Rodriguez, I met him in 1985, 9th grade, Classical High School. Known him ever since. Salt of the earth guy. He joined the armed services. Was a veteran. Soon after that, continued to cause at the Springfield Police Department. He was a model citizen, model police officer. Misael worked at Dog Watch his entire career, first as a patrolman, then as a detective. When it didn't work out as a detective, Misael stayed on the Dog Watch for family reasons. Stayed on the Dog Watch and was a mentor to the young officers. He was an FTO before we had FTOs. Misael was that person that showed up to work every day, didn't call in sick, didn't fake injuries, didn't do any all these bad things. He was never in discipline issues, nothing. Model employee, like I said, and he loved to come to work, and he loved to see all of us. The 5th of November in 2020, that changed. Misael was on a call trying to help someone who's in a psychological episode, a severe psychological episode, like many calls were on. During that episode, a 6 foot, 1 inch, 300-pound man struck Misael on the top of the head with all of his might, changed his life forever. Changed his career, changed his life as a father. This is a rare type of retirement. This is a rare situation. Misael's a rare person. I ask you all to talk to your colleagues and vote yes on this tonight. We are worried about the landslide effect of maybe multiple petitioners for this. With that being said, we recognize that this is a special situation. The research shows since 1949, only 64 officers were eligible in this Commonwealth of Massachusetts for this type of retirement. So this is rare for a rare person. Please vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curley. Okay, we still have 3 other speakers signed up. Ariana Gray, is Ariana here? Okay, how about Erica Andrews? No Erica? Okay, Mr. Howard, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I have something I'd like to say on a positive note. Erica and Ariana and I have formed a collective And one of the things that we're trying to do is to provide free computer build and repair program that we're hoping that will connect with a college that we're speaking with to give some accreditation. So when these students complete the course, they would get some kind of certificate, and hopefully that will open up the doors to them entering into college to pursue a computer degree. So hopefully this will start sometime in the fall. Two things that we've done in the past month or so is to raise some funds at the McKnight Neighborhood Council block party, where we raised some funds for the inner city dive team, which trains at Rebecca Johnson. And we didn't touch any of the funds. The dive team came there. All of the proceeds went directly to them. And what we did was give out 5 refurbished computers to the lucky winners of the raffle. Since that was so successful, what we did was did something similar with the Bay Area Neighborhood Council, where we were able to raise some money. Again, we did not touch any of the money, but the police department did receive those donations. We raffled off 2 refurbished computers, and the money actually went to Officer Santos, I believe his name is, the officer who was recently shot, and one of the young people who was shot around that same park. I think it's Hennessy Park. And that young man is now paralyzed. It was really encouraging to see that the level of donations in the jars were equal in height. So apparently people were really supporting both individuals. And one of the things that we engaged on that was not exactly, that didn't work out the way we'd like, is we were trying to get 5 needle bins for discarded hypodermic needles, one to be placed by the Rebecca Johnson School, because our understanding is before the students could actually go out and play, because it's their schoolyard is adjacent to a public park, folks there, after they finish using those needles, will discard them in the grass, and the staff at Rebecca Johnson has to actually go out and remove all of those needles before the children are actually allowed to go out and play. So we were trying to get 1 there, 2 at the dingle, where on Earth Day, folks picked up 2 garbage bags full of garbage, including hypodermic needles, and they even found a revolver, which was turned over to the police department. The other 2 locations we were looking at is Magazine Park and the Triangle Park. But apparently, even though we had the support of HHS, the Parks Department said that they weren't interested. So, where do we go from here? Do we try to get a smaller container that we could give to Rebecca Johnson? Because the needle exchange program across the street, I believe it's the Deborah Hunt, they basically provide some containers for these discarded needles to be placed in after they've been picked up at the park and the schoolyard where these children play. So I just wanted to run that by folks. And I noticed Council Member Tracy Whitfield has her hand raised, so.
I apologize. Sorry, new system. I apologize, Mr. Howard. I meant to put your clock on. I didn't push the button enough times. But Councilor Whitfield?
Thank you, Mr. Howard. You've been working diligently on these items for a minute, but can you just repeat what the Parks Department said they were not interested in?
Well, there were 5 needle bins, which cost a little under $6,000. They're like $1,100 each. And what we were going to do was put 2 at the dingle, which is behind where Ray Jordan used to live, 1 at the Triangle Park, 1 at Magazine Park, and the final one would go wherever it is that Principal Sutton would designate around the school, because these folks, they will shoot up there and then just discard the needles. So we were hoping to put a bin there so at least they could at least walk over and discard of those needles so that the staff doesn't have to continually go out and pick up those needles before the children could actually go out and play. But they said that, I don't want to say exactly who I spoke with because I didn't get permission to use their name, but the person who was being used as a liaison to the Parks Department, they told me that Parks wanted us to speak to HHS. I said, but we already got approval from HHS. What they're saying is, if we could provide the bins, they would cover for the expenses of removing the needles. And since we had that, and Parks said, well, talk to them, and then once that was made clear to them, it came back, we're not interested.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. That's something that we can look into. The second thing that I wanted to ask you was about the funds that you said for the young man that's paralyzed that got shot. I've been reaching out to his mom to see if those funds were received, and they have not been. And I gave a donation to the officer that was shot and to for the young man that was also shot. And so I just wanted to see if you can double check with the person who was collecting the funds for that.
That's Officer Lopez.
I know who it is. I didn't want to say his name,
Right.
but if you could double check to see if those funds are going to distributed to the right areas, that would be helpful. Or we can ask him tomorrow on the C3 meeting if he makes it.
But the police department did receive the funds. We did not touch it whatsoever.
Okay,
They
I
had
just
nothing to
wanted,
do with it.
I've been in contact with the mom like every week, and I just want to make sure that the funds are going where they're meant to go.
Yeah, I appreciate
you.
that concern.
All right, thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the time, Mr.
Okay,
President.
that will conclude our public speak out portion of the meeting. Council will stand in recess till 7 o'clock. So, councilors, how can everybody hear each other with this new tech? This sounds a lot better for me. Is it a lot better for you?
Counselor Walsh. Absent Counselor Allen. Absent Counselor Delgado.
Present.
Present Counselor Click Bruce. Present Counselor Govan.
Present.
Present Counselor Brown. Absent Counselor Davila. Present Counselor Curran. Present Counselor Santinello. Absent Counselor Edwards.
Present.
Present Counselor Whitfield.
Present. Oh, you got to undo it. Present.
Present Counselor Perez. Absent Counselor Fenton.
Present. Will the council and our guests please rise for a moment of silence? Tonight's moment of silence is in honor of Ana Andino Santiago, longtime advocate and resident of the North End. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please recognize Councilors Allen, Santinello, and Walsh?
Counselor Allen. Present. Present Counselor Walsh. Present. Present Counselor Santinello.
Okay, we'll come back to Councilor Santinello. Councilors, before we do committee reports, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We have some new technology tonight for councilors who are present in person and for those who weren't with us a little bit earlier today for committees or public speak out. The technology is pretty simple to operate. If you look at the device in front of you, you have a microphone and you have an amplification device. This is a capital investment by our friends at Focus Springfield to help improve and correct a lot of the issues we've been having throughout the course of the year. So thank you to Josue and Steve and George and the entire team for working with us on these corrections. The device in front of you, if you note, the button on the bottom right center side has an icon of a person with what appears to be amplification coming from that person's mouth. That is the button that if you press it and release it, your microphone will turn green, like this. And then the public and those present will be able to hear you. If you turn it off, okay. Only 3 speakers can be heard at a time. So if you're not speaking, please have your microphone off. If too many people are trying to talk at the same time, I do have the functionality here to mute people. That would be very messy to try to do, and I hope to never have to do that. But just so you know, there is that functionality if and when that becomes a problem for us. But in the meantime, I think you can already hear the difference, that it's a much better product for us here in the council and it's much more audible. So with that, before we get to committee reports, Madam Clerk, will you please recognize Councilor Santinello?
Counselor Santinello.
Present. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any reports of committee this evening? Councilor Govan.
Point of order.
Councilor Brown. Would sorry about that. Madam Clerk, will you please recognize Councilor Brown?
Counselor Brown.
Present.
Thank you. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Sustainability and Environmental Committee met on July 2nd at 12 noon. Councilor Davila dropped into the meeting at some point, and I think he took off, but we met to talk about a urban woodlands ordinance. Attorney Shea was there, Alex Sherman, Amy Loisel, Attorney Bonacani, and Jay Latore from the SCANS group was there, and we talked about drafting an ordinance so that we could present it to the City Council to protect our urban woodlands, where we know how much climate change is affecting us, as we can see by having to open the cooling centers at this time so early. It's early July. So we're just looking to protect our air, we're looking to protect our lands, and we're looking to do it in a responsible way. So that's our report. We're waiting for the draft from Ms. Attorney Shea, and I'll just keep waiting for that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other reports of committee? Councilor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. My apologies if I missed anybody. Councilor Allen was not in attendance. He missed a meeting, but a quorum was established by the presence of myself and Councilor Delgado. There were several department heads. I won't list them all that were in attendance, but we oversaw or got reports of a total of 21 items. Each item will be described by one of the department heads or an appointee at the appropriate time, but it's the recommendation of the committee that we support these all. There was nothing there that was controversial. This was just a couple where there might be some questions because I believe there's 2 new grants.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Any other reports of committee? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for the new technology. I'm sure it's going to be much better. Mr. President, the Pilot Committee met today, and present was community member Juan Latorre, Patrick Greenhall, Patrick Burns, Lindsay Hackett, Karen Lee, and Councilor Whitfield. We heard a report for Sirma, who's one of the budget analysts. We were comparing the formula that Boston uses to recoup some of the pilot program that they have with different nonprofit entities. Using that similar program, which is, Mr. President, 25% of the tax value, the total tax value, we estimate that in Springfield, we analyze the top nonprofits in Springfield, and we estimated that we might possibly recoup anywhere between $5 million to $12.5 million if all these nonprofits pitch in and help the city in difficult times. I repeat, that's possibly $5 million to $12.5 million in new revenue. We also discussed how that money could be used. It could be direct cash deposit, or it could be half of that money into community benefits. We also discussed briefly a mission statement and some guidelines to adopt into how this money could possibly be used. And in the near future, as I stated before, we will be engaging the nonprofits. As I stated before, they are partners in this process and partners here in the city, Mr. President. The next meeting is going to be August 12th at 1:45 here in City Hall. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other reports of committee? Councilor Click-Bruce.
What's the item that's going to be on? Thank you, Council President. It's the item that's going to be on tonight. It's a special act for disability retirement benefits, sponsored by the mayor, myself, and Councilor Fenton. We did have some councilors in attendance, Councilor Govan, Councilor Brian Santinello, and I think that was it for councilors, and a number of city officials that were in the room. It's a financial order that's going to be attached to this, but it's something that I wholeheartedly support, and I know Councilor Govan and Councilor Santinello supports as well.
Thank you, Councilor Click-Bruce. Any other reports of committee? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on, oh, sorry, Councilor Whitfield. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the reports of committee.
On acceptance of the reports committee, Councilor Walsh? Yes. Yes, Councilor Allen? Yes. Councilor Allen present and yes. Councilor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Quick-Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez, absent. Councilor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Committee reports are accepted. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to take orders 23 and 24 out of order for the Special Act for Disability Retirement Benefits and the transfer of stabilization reserve to the city retirement account for $500,000. And I would just ask that folks respect the noise level because of sensitivity to it. And yes, that's what I like to do.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Seeing no objection, Madam Clerk, please call item number 23.
Item 23 is a special act for disability retirement benefits.
Thank you, Council President. Before I begin, I had a conversation with Officer Rodriguez, and really hit home with me. He's a family man and was violently injured while on the job. So my heart goes out to you, Officer Rodriguez, to you and your family wholeheartedly. 'Cause it's just, you go to work one day and you're doing your job and you get violently attacked. And being a police officer in this day and age isn't easy. But when you have good officers doing the right thing and this happens, now it's up to us to do the right thing. So I just want to open up with that. And so this is a special act, city councilors, for disability retirement benefits. And again, it's sponsored by the mayor and myself and Councilor President Fenton. And it's in your, it should be in your emails, but I'm going to read this act regarding the disability pension for Mr. Rodriguez. And like Councilor Whitfield alluded to, there is a financial order attached to this. And then this is a very unique situation. So this is something we're not looking to do for everyone, but a special circumstances as this, we want to make sure we do the right thing. And it simply reads, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives and General Court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1A, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, the Springfield Retirement Board shall increase the accidental disability retirement allowance payable to Mr. Rodriguez, a retired officer of the police department of the city of Springfield who, as a result of severe physical injuries sustained during a violent felonious assault while in the performance of his duties on November 5th, 2020, is totally and permanently incapacitated from performing the essential duties of a police officer. And B, the annual amount of pension payable to Mr. Rodriguez shall be equal to the regular rate of compensation which would have been paid had he continued in service as a police officer of the city of Springfield, at the grade held by him at the time of his retirement until his death or reach a mandatory retirement age, whichever comes first. All amounts paid under this act shall be non-taxable to the extent allowable under the state and federal law. C, upon attaining the mandatory retirement age for a police officer of the city of Springfield, Mr. Rodriguez shall receive a pension pursuant to Section 7 of Subchapter 32, a yearly amount pension equal to 80% of the annual rate of the compensation he was receiving on the day before he reaches the mandatory retirement age for a police officer in the city of Springfield. D, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, the benefits granted hereon shall be funded and administered by the Springfield Retirement Board, consistent with and subject to Chapter 32 of the general laws. Section 2, notwithstanding any general or special law to be contrary, Mr. Rodriguez shall be entitled to receive indemnification for all hospital, medical, and related expenses that have been be incurred after the date of his retirement as a result of the injury sustained to him while in the performance of his duties on November 5th, 2020, in accordance with sections. And in Section 3, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, the Springfield Retirement Board shall forthwith pay to said Mr. Rodriguez the amount credit to him as accumulated total deductions in the annuity savings funds of the Springfield Retirement Board as of the effective date of this act. Section 4, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, if Mr. Rodriguez was married upon retirement, then upon his death, if he is still married to the spouse he was married to upon retirement, then should his spouse to whom he was married on the date upon retirement survived him, the retirement board of the City of Springfield shall pay to the spouse an annuity of the amount of 75% of the amount of the pension which otherwise would have been payable to Mr. Rodriguez until the spouse's death. The pension benefits provided for in section I shall be subject to Section 103 of Chapter 32 of the General Laws. Section 5, in the event that both Mr. Rodriguez and his spouse to whom he was married on the date upon retirement die before their children reach the age of 18, the payments that should otherwise have been made to Mr. Rodriguez's spouse shall be payable per stripes to each surviving children under the age of 18, provided, however, that payment shall continue for the benefit of surviving child 18 years or older on or before the death of Mr. Rodriguez or his spouse to whom he was married to on the date upon retirement, whichever is later, had been medically determined to be permanently, physically, or mentally incapacitated from earning or from the benefit of a child under the age of 22, who is enrolled as a full-time student and determined by the criteria of educational institution. Section 6, this act shall take effect upon its passage. So I want to make sure we read that into record. As we can clearly see, the City of Springfield did their due diligence in putting this together. So I want to thank the city team for doing this and really doing the research. So at this time, I just want to call up City Solicitor if you want to say a few words, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Councilor Click-Bruce. Solicitor Bonacani, then we get to Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the members of the council and to the public. My name is Stephen Bonacani. I'm the city solicitor. The matter that is before you this evening is a special act on behalf of Officer Misao Rodriguez. Many of you know the story behind Officer Rodriguez and the tragic circumstances that caused him to have to retire, because he in fact is currently retired through the Springfield retirement system. But based upon his age and based upon the severity of his injuries, there were many who are calling on, including the council president, members of this council, and the mayor, asking to try to do something extra for Mr. Rodriguez based upon his service to the city and the injuries that he sustained. What this special act will do, Mr. President, is give him additional benefits that are not afforded to him under state law currently. Mr. Rodriguez is right now retired under an accidental disability retirement through the Springfield retirement system. What this will do, Mr. President, will allow Mr. Rodriguez to, in fact, receive all of his accumulated deductions back, 100% of his accumulated deductions that he put into the system. He'll receive 100% of a benefit, of a salary benefit, upon the date of his retirement for a regular police officer's salary. And then upon reaching the age of 65, that will be reduced to 80%. But if you think about it in the time value of money, by the time Officer Rodriguez reaches the age of 65, 80% of what the current salary of an officer on the Springfield Police Department is going to be will be in all likelihood more than the 100% that he's receiving today. So those are the three big pieces to this, Mr. President. They cost money, and the city's finance team had to balance wanting to do right by Officer Rodriguez by also trying to manage the coffers of the city of Springfield and making sure that we can afford it. So there's really a two-step process here. The first step in the process would be the City Council's adoption of this order, then a referral down to the state legislature. The state legislature will then take this matter up as a special act and in all likelihood pass it sometime in the fall. As much as their formal session ends at the end of July, this matter will still require a hearing at the state level, will still require some due diligence on ways and means, but I can assure you and the public that we have vetted this process. Pat Burns has done a great job, and Kathy Bono as well, making sure that PARAC, the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission, which is the state retirement system, has already reviewed the language and has agreed upon the language, so there shouldn't be any objections by them or delay in the process. But once the matter goes to hearing and then is adopted, which we expect it will be by both branches, the governor will then sign it into the law. The second step to this process, Mr. President, is the financial package that's before you this evening that Councilor Whitfield referenced, that there would be a $500,000 appropriation out of free cash to fund this. And that is a matter that we believe will cover the cost of this. We want to make sure that that's going to be, and so it took us quite some time and some due diligence to make sure to come up with an accurate number. This is a unique circumstance. And the city of Springfield wants to recognize Officer Rodriguez and the injuries that he sustained. We try to balance his contribution and his service with what the city can afford. We believe this is the right thing to do at this right time, and that Officer Rodriguez deserves it. But also at the same time, we believe that the city can afford it. I will say, however, that we're cautious about other officers or firefighters who might consider themselves worthy of such a petition. We'll review each one as they come along, should there be others in the future. Hopefully there aren't with the injuries that get sustained, but if there are, we'll review them. But we still take a cautious approach to each and every one of these to make sure that, again, the city's finances can sustain it.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you.
Councilor Whitfield.
Mr. Solicitor, can you please stay?
Mr.
Solicitor.
Mr. Solicitor.
Can you come back? I have some questions. Sorry I didn't make the meeting. Mr. Rodriguez, Officer Rodriguez, thank you for your service. Sorry that this happened to you. First and foremost, I would like to be also added as a sponsor to this. But my questions are, so what we're doing here is making him whole as a police officer that would be getting paid currently today?
It would be, he receives 100% of a salary that a Springfield patrol officer receives upon the date of his retirement, meaning that it really goes back several months upon when he officially retired, but it gives him 100% of that salary as if he was working to earn it.
So 100% of the salary he was at, or the salary as of today?
Let's say, in theory, I'm just going to give a number. If it's $50,000 for a patrol officer's salary right now, Officer Rodriguez will receive the $50,000.
Okay.
Right now, he only receives 72% of that salary.
Gotcha. And anywhere did we think about annual increases, like for the future or anything like that?
Well, what we tried to contemplate is upon the age of 65, at that point, Officer Rodriguez, it would still be dropped down, but are you asking between now till then? Will he
Yeah, till
receive-
65, annual increases?
He will in all likelihood receive what other retirees receive, which is a 3% COLA, cost of living adjustment, but that is something that's decided by the Springfield Retirement Board. It's not within our jurisdiction to do, but that is the normal process that they approve, is a 3% COLA every year.
So right now, we're catching them up to what police officers make and giving them 100% of that, because technically, if this didn't happen, he would still be working.
That's correct, Councilman.
Okay. And then the only other thing is, from my understanding, he was a wonderful police officer when he was on duty, but nowhere in here did I see anything if promotions would have occurred or anything like that, but I guess it would be hard to say where he would have been at had he still been working.
We're trying to balance what's current law, and the current law, when an officer goes out similar for injured in the line of duty, and they receive 72% of their salary, that's consistent with what the position that they were leaving from. So that if you're a patrol officer, that's what you leave from, or if you are a captain, for example, that's different. So we cannot hypothetically decide where he'd be.
Right.
So we're a little boxed in based upon what the existing law is.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor
I
Whitfield.
support this.
Thank you, Counselor Whitfield. Any other counselors on this special act?
I just have a...
Counselor Santinella.
So going forward, his benefits will always be tax-free?
The 100% will be tax-free, and then upon turning 65, the 80% would be tax-free.
Thank you.
Counselor Edwards. Oh, put your mic. Counselor Edwards, you put your mic on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank the officer for his many years of dedicated service. Thank all of the members of the Springfield Police Department, Fire Department, all our public servants. I wholeheartedly support this. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to show our appreciation for the work that these men and women do for us on a daily basis. And if it's appropriate, I would also like to be included as a sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, so noted, Madam Clerk. Counselor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as I said in the public safety meeting, I, wholeheartedly support this. I found out after I spoke that he's also a veteran, and I believe that our police officers and our, fire department, our servants, we should be able to, compensate them as they need to be, just like our veterans when they came back from service. So thank you doubly for your service, Ms. Officer Rodriguez. So I do fully support this, and I'm really glad that Solicitor Bonaconte said it's a unique situation, a unique circumstance, because as we know, we need to be mindful of the city's finances. Right now, we're going to be using $500,000 of free cash, to do this, which is something that I certainly think that we should do. And then I want us also to be mindful in the future of how we're going to be using free cash to help our residents, because I can imagine that Officer Rodriguez in his retirement, if he owns a home, he's going to be paying property taxes. If the property taxes continue to increase, this probably isn't going to mean that much to him because he's going to need more. Just like the rest of us. So again, thank you again for doing this. To the city team, to the councilors that sponsored this, if it's appropriate, I'd like to be added as well as a sponsor. And again, thank you, Officer Rodriguez, for your service.
Thank
and
you,
the entire police department. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor Govan, Counselor Delgado, then Counselor Davila, then Counselor Whitfield.
I'll keep this short, but I support everything that my colleagues here have done. I just had one question. How many years of service did Officer Rodriguez Misael have with the city of Springfield?
28 and a half years.
Well, thank you so much for those 28 and a half years, and much further blessings to you and your family. I will obviously support this, and as other councilors mentioned, if I'm able to be added as a sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is my volume okay?
We can hear you great.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor to this. And to Officer Rodriguez, my compliments, sir. We all know that those of us that work in public safety, it's a very dangerous job, and we could get hurt in any number of ways and shapes. So my heart goes out to you and to you for your service. Also, he's a Central High School graduate, so go out. And so with that being said, Mr. President, I do have to ask some questions of rigor, if I may, doing my due diligence to the city solicitor. City solicitor, thank you for being here and your presentation. But this amount of $500,000 that we are transferring, is that only for wages purposes, or does that include medical as well?
He will receive medical insurance through his retirement. That is something that is borne through the retirement system. Mm-hmm. This is mostly for the increase in wages that he'll be receiving over the course, really from his age now till the time he reaches 65.
I'm sorry, would you mind saying that again?
Certainly. What he would currently make compared to what this proposes, the increase, is approximately $500,000 more from now until the age of 65.
Okay, so that this money is to cover from now to retirement?
Yes.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. And so I know you did put a word of caution to other police officers and firefighters, solicitor, and that we're going to be looking at this a case-by-case basis. But, you know, it would seem to me that perhaps there's room that we can close some loopholes, that God forbid something else happens, that we don't have to wait so many years, or that we have to come back to this chamber to do this. That should be done automatically. That's the purview that is for you, for people that are smarter and people know exactly all the laws and the state laws. But it will seem to me, it will hope that we can close any loophole that could be closed, so that this just be done administratively instead of special acts. So with that being said, Solicitor will be supporting this. Mr. President, I am very glad and honored to do this. And Officer Rodriguez, as I mentioned before, thank you. Thank you to your family, and thank you for all the years that you have put in protecting our beloved city, which we all love. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just wanted to clarify for the council that the transfer is coming from the stabilization reserves, not free cash, to the city's retirement account. However, we can still use stabilization reserves to lower property tax. So but I did want to make it clear that that's where the transfer is coming from, not from free cash, so we're not confused about that. Thank you.
That's correct, Councilor Whitfield. So that will require, at the appropriate time, that'll require a 2/3 vote. Okay. Seeing no other counselors, Councilor Walsh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to congratulate everybody that has worked on this. Obviously, it sounds like it's been a great team effort. I want to thank the officer for his service to the city, his service to the country, and I think this is the right thing to do. And I, too, want to be a sponsor.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Have you added as a sponsor? Unless Councilor Santinello.
I would also like to be added as a sponsor.
We'll add Councilor Santinello. And unless he objects, we'll also add Councilors Allen, Brown, and Curran. So that's okay. Thank you, councilors. Madam Clerk, seeing no further debate, if you could please call the roll on approval of the special act, item number 23.
On approval of the special act, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Item passes. One more item on this matter, Madam Clerk. Item number 24, financial transfer.
Item
Please
20
call the roll.
Item 24 is a transfer of the stabilization reserve to the city retirement account in the amount of $500,000. To approve, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Transfer is approved. Madam Clerk, with the council's indulgence, I'd like to call a 2-minute recess so that we can invite Mr. Rodriguez to come up. I think all councilors would like to shake his hand and thank him for his years of service to the city. Congratulations, Mr. Rodriguez. Okay, counselors, thank you all very much. That was a nice one to get to do that. Okay. Are we back recording? Okay, thank you, Josue. We're going to call this meeting back to order. Thank you, counselors and members of the public, for your participation in those last two items. Madam Clerk, we have a continued item, the first on the agenda above number 1, PEG Access and Cable Related Fund Grant. If you could please call that item first.
PEG Access and Cable Related Fund FY24 Quarter 4 franchise fee payment in the amount of $152,642.64.
Okay, counselors, this matter was referred to committee previously. This is a grant. I don't know that there's anyone here to speak on it. We can ask Ms. Bono if that's necessary, but unless counselors have any questions, maybe we can just go to calling the roll on the approval of this grant. Any questions from the council? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the grant.
On approval of the grant, Councillor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Delgado. On approval of the PEG grant, Councillor Delgado. Yes, Councillor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Davila. Yes. Yes, Councillor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Perez. Absent, Councillor Fenton.
Yes. Will the clerk please call on Councillor Whitfield for this grant? Councillor Govan, apologize.
Councillor Govan.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. More than sufficient. Grant is approved. Item number 1, Madam Clerk.
Item 1 is the May revenue versus expenditure report.
Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight I'm presenting the May revenue versus expenditure report. It represents 11 months of the fiscal year. Unfortunately, our May state aid payment, this happened earlier in the year also, came in on June 4th, so it is not included in this statement. Thankfully, our June payment came in on June 28th, as we had to make our yearly appropriation payment for the retirement system on July 1st, so thankfully that cash was in the bank prior to that.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Burns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the report.
On acceptance of the report, Councillor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Delgado. Yes, Councillor Click-Bruce. Yes, Councillor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Perez. Absent, Councillor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Report is accepted. Item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Item number 2 is the 2024 primary election warrant.
Madam Clerk.
Item number 2 includes the election warrant for the state primary, which is going to take place on September 3rd. Polling hours are 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The offices for this election have been sent to the councilors, which include the offices for Senator and Congress, Rep in Congress, local district, Senate and Representative and General Court offices, the Clerk of Courts, and the Register of Deeds. Included is also a list of the polling locations. The polling locations, with the exception of one site, all remain the same. I'd actually like to take this time to give a thank you to both Councillor Maria Perez.
Madam Clerk, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to just ask that, thank you, George, just ask the folks outside who are, I'm sure, pleased, just take their conversations a little lower or take them elsewhere. Thank you. Please continue, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So the one exception to the polling place changes has been one that is actually a temporary change, which is Ward 1, Precinct D, Ward 1, Precinct D, Sub-Precinct 1, and Ward 1, Precinct E. It was, Bay State Place was the original location of this polling location, which was there for decades. They had a renovation at that property, which was pretty extensive. It took place over the past 2 years, and over that course of time, we've actually tried to work with the tenants of 414 Chestnut, which are the main voters at that polling site, to ensure that they were able to go and cast ballots, whether it be by absentee voting or physically going to the polling location. And with the support of Councilor Perez, who's kind of been a staunch advocate for returning the polling site to Bay State Place, we were able to secure the return. The management company for Bay State Place has been amazing. They've worked with us so that we can store the equipment on site. It's a beautiful location now. I'm sure some of the councilors have went to the ribbon cutting, and the Board of Tenants has also come out to support the return of that polling site. So aside from that, there are no changes to the polling locations. And the councilors have also been giving a list of the early voting dates and sites, which start August 24th of this year through August 30th of this year.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions for the clerk on the warrant? Okay. Seeing none, roll call, please.
On approval of the warrant, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, warrant sufficient. Warrant is approved. Madam Clerk, Sean's volunteered to get the signatures for you to save you a task later if you'd like. Okay, let's try to do items 3 through 7 together, councilors, and if there's any objections or serious issues with that, we can always claw one out. But Madam Clerk, please call items 3 through 7.
Items 3 through 7 are Eversource Renslow Street, Eversource Willard Avenue, Eversource Alton Street, Allen Estates Sewer Pipe, and Eversource Sumner Avenue.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak on behalf of these petitions?
Hi, this is Matthew Nichols from Eversource Gas. I believe some of those are electric projects. Unfortunately, I can't speak on those, but I can speak on Rensselaer and Willard Ave.
Okay, so, but you cannot speak on Alton Street or Sumner?
There was one more on there too. Those are all electric.
Okay, so why don't you do Rensselaer and Willard for us, please?
Okay. So both of these projects are driven by an encroachment. I believe both by the Springfield water and sewer. So what encroachment essentially is they've installed either a main or a service in close proximity to our aging cast iron mains, which sacrifices the integrity of those old mains. So instead of doing a short-term repair, we're opting to just replace the entire street with new medium pressure plastic. And each of those streets are roughly 800 feet. They're just one-way feet, single streets.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant on the Rensselaer and Willard Avenue matters? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on the Eversource petitions for Alton Street and Sumner Avenue?
Hi, Mr. President.
Good evening, Hector. Mr. Velez, you have the floor.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Alton is gonna be just petition to install new pole to create like a loop, like 3-foot loop, and happen, that area is gonna be more reliable, including, Cytec, Mass Mutual, and Putnam, Academy,
Thank you.
something for safety.
Okay. And can you also speak to the sewer pipe for Allen Estates and the Eversource petition for Sumner Ave?
I can speak for Sutton Ave. Sutton Ave is NASDAQ prior 2025, the X, hopefully 2025. Eversource Electric is gonna replace the manhole and new conduit in that area for the project of NASDAQ, the X in 2025. They're gonna they wanted to put everything new and apartments
Okay, thank you.
after the project.
Thank you, Mr. Velez. Any questions for Mr. Velez regarding the Eversource Alton Street or Sumner Avenue petitions? Councilor Click Bruce.
Yeah. Thank you, Council President. I see clarification. He said something about Putnam.
Could you?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. What was going on, Mr. Velez, over at Putnam?
They're gonna install a new pole to create a loop like a new circuit. In case something happens, they can bring electricity in that area, and that covered Cytec, Putnam, and Mass Mutual.
All right. Thank you, Council President. I'll reach out to Velez.
Thank you, Click Bruce. Councilor Click Bruce. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Hector. Hector, I missed what you said about the Sumner Avenue. Can you shed some light on that, please?
Yeah, there's gonna be a project that's gonna be an update on the X in Sumner Avenue. We're waiting, there's a new project from NASDAQ in that area, and DPW is gonna request to all utilities like sewer and electricity getting before the project. And if they have to do something, put something new, something better in that area, and avoid problem after the project is done, we don't wanna touch the new asphalt and the new detention.
I'm sorry, Mr. Santos. I'm sorry, Mr. Bellis. Did you say asphalt? And I couldn't hear everything you said. Would you mind repeating that?
There's gonna be a new intersection with the X.
Is that the X project you're talking about?
The X project, yeah.
Okay.
And DPW required to all utilities getting before the project and update of the system, electrical, sewer, water, before the project, so we avoid problem after the completion of the project. And that's how Eversource Electric is gonna put new manholes and new concrete in that area to get.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Bellis, I'm going to be giving you a call offline. There are some light poles that's down near the Shell gas station on Sumner Avenue. We'll give you a call offline on that. I noticed that on my way here today. Thank you for your explanation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors on the Eversource petitions for Alton Street or Sumner Avenue? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak on the petition for Allen Estates sewer pipe petition?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is John Tomaszewski with R. Associates. I'm here on behalf of RJH Estates LLC, who is looking to who is proposing to construct a 13-lot residential subdivision off the south side of Allen Street, just to the east of Bicentennial Plaza. Due to some conflicts with some existing utilities within Allen Street, we're proposing to construct approximately 140 feet of the sanitary sewer within the right-of-way in Allen Street, sort of in the tree belt, and to be able to avoid any of those conflicts with the existing utilities and provide adequate depth to service those 13 new lots. So that's what we are proposing.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Councilor Allen.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, thanks for that explanation. I'm familiar with the project that's been sitting there for a year or two. I'm Tim Allen. I'm the counselor from that area that represents that area. Ward 7. Could you just explain it again? I know there were, water issues in the back, et cetera, where some lots were gonna, be close to the water table or, wetland kind of thing. This is not that, this is something else.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the wetlands, that's been through conservation. This is just literally trying to install the sanitary sewer to service those lots, have them be gravity fed, and avoid, as the sewer is installed, it has to cross, there's a drain line and a water line existing within Allen Street, and they're at such a depth where there's a conflict where we ultimately like to try to tie in right opposite where the new roadway is going in, but we need to install, run it down Allen Street a little bit to gain a little bit more depth and avoid some of those conflicts, so that unrelated to anything, on need of the street, down in the back where, yes, like you said, there are some wetlands, but that's totally independent of this.
Okay, so just, at least one more question on it, and that is, have you been to the Outer Civic Association, or has DPW approved what you're talking about tonight?
Yes, it's been through all the approvals. We're doing, dot some I's and crossing some T's with Springfield Water and Sewer, and this is one part of that piece. But otherwise, we've received the order of conditions from conservation as well as approval from planning, subject to, getting these last few things, finalized.
Have you had, thank you, Andy Carr, city engineer, been in the loop and all that?
Yep. The whole handle there, DPW and engineering.
They're all set?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you for the explanation.
Sure thing, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the council? Okay. Seeing none and no objections, Madam Clerk, please call items 3 through 7 together.
On approval of items 3 through 7, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Petitions are approved. Item number 8, Madam Clerk.
Item 8 is an FY25 Municipal Community Mitigation Fund, no match required, in the amount of $2,864,800.
Good evening, Mr. Connors.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Brian Connors from Economic Development. The item before you is the annual grant we received from the Community Mitigation Fund from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. This grant this year, in the past it had been separate where each department would apply. This is a single application that the city applied for, and the Gaming Commission gave us a single award based on approved projects. So this encompasses requests from police, fire, health and human services for gaming harm, planning for community planning, district branding, and infrastructure. This item 8 is related to item 9 as well. There is a 2-part infrastructure grant award for parking mitigation. So there is one part that is in item number 8, and then there is a part from last year that is item number 9. The Gaming Commission awarded those in 2 tranches, and once we receive the second one, we've put both before you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Whitfield.
Oops. Thank you, Mr. Connors. What is the Springfield Youth Gambling Program that this fund supports?
So Health and Human Services wants to study the effects on gaming for younger teens. So I think they're finding that teens are being attracted to gaming and sports and things like that, I think across the country. And so Springfield wants to look at how that's being impacted today and wants to do outreach and study it as well.
And how much of the funds is going to that?
Let's see. I think it's about 200, a little over 200,000, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's about 250.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is accepted. Item number 9, Madam Clerk.
Item 9 is an FY24 MGC Transportation Construction Grant, no match required, in the amount of $1.5 million.
Any comments or questions from the council on this grant? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Red, yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is accepted. Item number 10, Madam Clerk.
Item number 10 is a State 911 Support and Incentive Grant, no match required, in the amount of $1,117,816.
Good evening, Commissioner Calvi.
Good evening, councilors. Good evening, Mr. President. This grant covers reimbursement for dispatch wages, the amount of $1,117,836. We receive this grant every year, and it's used to offset the expenses of the dispatch center.
Thank you, Commissioner Calvi. Any comments or questions from Mr. Calvi? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, BJ. Good to see you. I know you mentioned it before.
Councilor Davila, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Madam Clerk, Councilor Delgado would like to recuse himself for this matter, given his employment. Okay, Councilor Davila, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I know you mentioned it before, but how many dispatchers do we have total?
We're authorized strength of 45. We currently have 33. We're in the middle of a hiring process right now.
Okay, and this $1.1 million covers 33 or 45?
It covers the salaries of what we pay out. So I think it's for the 45 right off the top of my head.
Okay, and that includes the OT? Overtime?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, this is definitely well needed, so I'll be very, very happy to support this, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado recused. Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is accepted. Item number 11, Madam Clerk.
Item number 11 is an order accepting Mass Gaming Commission grant contract amendment for the amount of $1,210,383.40.
Anyone here to speak on this petition? Good evening, Ms. Bono. Oh, okay. Lieutenant Toledo.
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Julio Toledo. I'm here in place of Lieutenant Elliott, who normally would be here, but he couldn't be here today. But the funding will cover various costs associated with Springfield Police Department Gaming Enforcement Unit, in fiscal year 2025, which would include salaries, fringe benefits, education incentives, overtime, and uniform and clothing expenses. The Gaming Enforcement Unit works exclusively on-site with MGM Springfield Casino and consists of 1 lieutenant and 6 officers. That's where essentially the funds would be going to.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Whitfield?
Thank you. I just wanted to say hi, Lieutenant Toledo. I've seen you so much in the community nowadays.
I appreciate you.
And we appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you very
I
much.
support this.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors? Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know. Oh, I got 2 microphones. I don't know. Lieutenant, thank you. Just a quick question. Does that include OT, that amount, the $1.2 million?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 6 guys and 1 boss.
Yes, that's correct.
$1.2 million.
That, 1,210,000.
Yeah, and this is complemented by state police as well.
This right here is for the Springfield Police Department.
Right, but
I do not believe that includes the Massachusetts State Police.
No, I don't think, of course not, but I'm saying that we are complemented, the casino is complemented by another contingent of the state police officers.
That's correct.
Yes, that's right. Okay, all right, that's all. Just a housekeeping. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other comments or questions on this grant? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on acceptance of the grant?
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado. Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Thank you, Lieutenant. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk, item number 12.
Item 12 is a FY25 Council on Aging grant, no match required, in the amount of $427,854.
Is anyone here to speak on this grant this evening?
Good afternoon.
Good evening, Mr. Goodman.
I represent the Department of Elder Affairs. This grant is our 4th year of a 10-year grant that we have for the Council of Aging. It pays for salaries, supplies. As I indicated, this is the 4th year of a 10-year grant that we have for the Council of Aging. So we're just seeking approval for that.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the council? Councilor Govan?
So the amount every year is the same?
That is correct.
It is, okay. And how many staff does it pay for?
It's currently paying for 6 staff, well, 5 full-time, so it's 7, 5 full-time and 2 part-times.
Okay, thank you, and you guys do great work over there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Councilor Govan. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield. Away, Counselor Perez absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Next item, item number 13, Madam Clerk.
Item 13 is for Department of Mental Health Jail/Arrest Diversion Program, no match required, in the amount of $369,000.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of this grant? Good evening again, Lieutenant Toledo.
Good evening, everyone. So with regard to the grant, with respect to the grant, the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health has been addressing the overrepresented population of persons with mental health and mental issues in the criminal justice system since 2007 through collaboration with local law enforcement agencies by developing local jail diversion projects with the intention to better serve the population that suffer from mental health issues. The City of Springfield, in partnership with the Behavioral Health Network, will provide the residents of the city with a more dedicated co-response team to address mental health needs with the purpose of diverting appropriate individuals from the criminal justice system to treatment alternatives. The continuation will allow the city to work through a memorandum of understanding with Behavioral Health Network on the incorporation of 3 full-time crisis clinicians and 1 clinical supervisor for the purposes of co-response. And the funding will be used to pay for BHN staffing. Fiscal year 25 award amount is $369,000. The co-responders will ride with Springfield Police Department to behavioral crisis calls when possible, and they would be non-ride-alongs. It's co-response where if there was a call for service, the BHN worker would respond, but not in the same police vehicle. They would respond in their own vehicles. And when officers are dispatched to calls that would require a co-response, the Springfield Emergency Communications Dispatch will dispatch officers and a clinician during these circumstances.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any counselors? Okay, Counselor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President, Lieutenant. Question, this is $369,000. Is that just for the clinicians, or does that include the equipment, the radios, or anything else that they may possibly need?
So the clinicians each clinician has issued a radio already.
Right.
And the funding would cover the clinicians and as well as a supervisor.
That would be a supervisor for BHN or a boss?
Supervisor for BHN.
Okay.
3 full-time clinicians and 1 clinical supervisor.
Right. How many per shift?
Yes, so that's what I was going to follow up with. So it's 1 clinician per shift. The police department runs 24 hours a day. It would be 1 clinician per shift.
The reason I was scratching my ear is because I could swear that we had talked before, I don't think you were here at the time, but that they were going to increase the amount of clinicians.
That I can't speak to that. I'm not aware of that. I simply know that right now it would be amazing if they would do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would advocate for that, but right now my understanding is 3 full-time clinicians, which would comprise 1 per shift, and then of course the 1 clinical supervisor.
Right. Lieutenant, are you speaking on behalf, or are you going to be involved in this now?
I'm not sure if I'm going to be involved in this moving forward. That's entirely possible that I may be.
Okay. Lieutenant, let me tell you that I'm a big proponent of this. I've seen it work myself. It's a great program. It takes resources. It keeps the resources where the resources need to be. It takes the pressure off the emergency rooms. It takes the pressure off the police officers and the EMTs. It's a great program. I've always advocated that we need more, particularly during Christmas, where crisis calls, as you are very well aware, they increase tremendously. I have been saying this for about 2 years now, and I'm starting to feel like nobody's really doing anything to increase the amount of staff at BHN. The numbers are there, the crises are there. We need to, and I say that just in case you do take the helm of this, which I'm sure you're going to do a great job, Lieutenant, that we need to actively ask for more money. And anything that I can do to help you and the department to do so, please reach out. So I'm starting to feel that, everybody says yes, 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 and nobody's doing anything to increase the amount of clinicians. They work. It's a great program. And this is an area that we need to invest money because it works. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor Davila. Counselor Whitfield. You should be able to now.
Okay, here we go. Thank you. Lieutenant, I don't know if you read this before I came in, but do we have any data on how many of the clinical co-response staff have attended, I guess, a mental health situation with police officers?
I don't have that data. I'm certain that data exists, but I can tell you that before I arrived to this meeting today, a clinician was in fact dispatched to a call for service involving someone suffering from mental health crisis. I think there certainly are a valuable piece of what we do. They have proven to be instrumental in times of crisis and times of suicide, as Councilor Davila referenced. I think they're a valuable tool. They're an asset for the police department and certainly an asset for the community, especially those people who are struggling with mental health issues and people with families that have mental health issues as well. The data, though, specifically, do I have the numbers? I do not, but they are used regularly.
Well, I would like to see the data because I want to see how effective they are and if, in fact, we do need more clinical support because BHN isn't the only mental health facility that we could use. And if we need to beef up, maybe we could use other services, especially those with cultural competencies, that know how to deal with all other populations. So seeing the data would be very helpful to see if, in fact, you do need more clinical response staff help. And then my final question is, do all clinical co-response always go with the police officer?
Yes, so what typically happens is they do not ride in the same vehicle as us. They will have a radio and they will get dispatched to the call. However, there are some occasions where it doesn't start off as a crisis call for service and it develops into a crisis call for service, at which time the police officer will then ask a clinician to respond to the scene as well. So it could happen in different ways.
So previously, I was like, okay, clinicians can go by themselves until Officer Rodriguez was here today. And we know that situations like that can occur with, lay individuals. So I think that I have changed my position. And I think that it is important that co-response staff are accompanied by police officers just in case it escalates. We don't want it to escalate, but just in case it does, they will have that additional support. So if we could just get those numbers on the data, that would be helpful.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a crisis clinician in my previous life, I know that those calls are very difficult at times, and BHN sends out clinicians all day long without the police officers. These calls, I think the co-responders are the ones where the police officers respond to a call and they realize it's a crisis, so they reach out to BHN. And then other times I'm sure that BHN probably reaches out to the police and says, I think this is police necessary. So the numbers are there. I know that we could probably use 5 more co-response teams in our city, maybe at least 2 on each shift. But BHN does send out clinicians all day, every day, without the police most of the time. But a lot of times the police are necessary, especially when they do Section 12s and things like that. So
Right, Section 12s and Section 35s.
yeah. So I think this is a very good program. Absolutely, we need more funding for it. And I agree with Councilor Whitfield that we could be collaborating with other agencies as well, like the African Diaspora, the Latino Counseling Center, who have the culturally competent staff there, because a lot of times, I'm not saying that BHN doesn't, but I think they're more apt to be at those agencies. So maybe in the future, looking into how we can respond or, increase this program, I think would be great. And thank you. And thank you for your service, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lieutenant, is this amount to finish out the fiscal year the current fiscal year 2025? Or is it only to December?
This grant period reads from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
So it's a whole year?
That's correct. July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Right. I remember we had a situation, again, you were not here, in which we ran out of funding, and that was an issue. Maybe that's a discussion for later, but I'm hoping that that's not going to repeat itself, particularly in these times. But, you know, so I guess you can answer my next question, which is, are we looking to increase for Christmas, for the holiday season? Because that's, I know it's only June, but that's around the corner, basically. So based upon this information you're giving me, I'm going to make an educated guess that there will not be any increase in clinicians, correct?
Right. I don't have the answer to that question right now, Counselor, but
Yes.
I certainly will bring it to the appropriate people to get the answers to those questions.
I do.
And we'll explore the data as well and explore to see other agencies with cultural competencies
Yeah,
to support this.
Lieutenant, I absolutely feel your sincerity, your willingness to work on this. But Mr. President, I do have to say that I am going to be voting for this because it's the right thing to do, it's appropriate. But as I said a little while ago, I'm starting to feel somebody is leading me by the nose and, you know, yesing me to death. I want to see more clinicians. I want to see more clinicians on the road. We can get the money. We definitely can get the money to put more clinicians. And I want to echo Councilor Whitfield's sentiments about having not only more clinicians, but clinicians that are appropriately culturally competent. We have wonderful people, wonderful entities, such as the African diaspora here, that could come in and sit at the table and help out in this crisis. Because we do have opioid issues. We have drug issues. We have crisis issues. We have people panhandling on the street, which are also mental health situations. And I feel that, you know, people are just going along in auto drive. We cannot be in auto drive. I'm going to vote for this, but I will say this. Moving forward, I will be open to holding this grant up. Because you fool me once, shame on me, you fool me twice. What's that saying goes? You know, we need to do something. We need to really, really sit at the table and get more funding and more clinicians because it's not happening. So I'm a little frustrated with this. I will be voting for this, but I'm just saying I will start making noise to hold this money if I don't see any changes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors on acceptance of the grant? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please reflect that Councilor Delgado has recused himself from this discussion? Please call the roll.
On acceptance of the grant, Councilor Walsh.
Oh, I'm sorry, sorry, Madam Clerk. Councilor Delgado, you have to put your mic on.
No, it was for the next vote.
Oh, it's for the next one, not for this one.
not for
Okay, I
this one,
apologize,
sorry.
Madam Clerk.
On acceptance of the grant, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Curran.
Councilor Kern, yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes, Councilor Davila, you missed him.
Oh, thank you. Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Now item number 14, Madam Clerk.
Item number 14 is the State 911 Training Grant in the amount of $173,035.76.
Okay, Madam Clerk, and let the record reflect that Councilor Delgado has recused himself for this matter.
Thank you.
Commissioner Calvi.
Good evening again, councilors. This grant for $173,035 is the state's training grant. This grant covers the cost of dispatcher academies, training, and testing software used by the SEC to ensure that all dispatchers are trained appropriately on a yearly basis.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Calvi? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado recused. Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Item number 15, Madam Clerk.
Item 15 is an FY25 local consumer aid grant, no match required, in the amount of $127,357.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this grant this evening?
I am, Mr. President, Melissa Johnson. The item before you is for a grant from the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office for our local consumer program to provide consumer education and advocacy to residents of Hampton County and parts of Worcester County. For the record, I'd like to add that the higher percentage of services that we provide are for both education and advocacy are for our city of Springfield. And I also want to thank the counselors who often refer constituents to us for assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any questions or comments on the grant? Counselor Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to give big kudos to Ms. Johnson. The work that she does, her and her staff and team, is just amazing. I think it's one of the hidden resources that we have in terms of getting folks who have any challenges with anything that they purchase or buy or consumers. So yes, I'm going to support this, but I just wanted to make sure it said that piece because I think more needs to be done to elevate the work that Ms. Johnson and her staff are doing, saving folks, including people in my family who've had to use her services to advocate for themselves. So thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Counselor Delgado. Any other counselors? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the grant.
On acceptance of the grant, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello. Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Okay, items 16 through 22 are all below our threshold, Madam Clerk, so can you please call those items together?
Item 16 is a 2024 Quality Improvement Grant, no match required, in the amount of $31,012. Number 17 is for Parks, FY25 Healthy Summer Youth Jobs Grant, no match required, in the amount of $9,450. Item number 18 is the Springfield Library Foundation's Artists at Work, no match required, in the amount of $6,000. Item number 19 is a Springfield City Library donation in the amount of $500. Number 20 is Mason Square C3 Community Engagement Sponsorship Award in the amount of $500. Number 21 is for the Fire Department, a donation in the amount of $25,000. Oh, that's out of order. And BHN donation for the police is number 22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could you please call the roll on acceptance of these grants? Counselor Davila?
Don't mind if it's a clarifying question. What the donation to the police department?
Let me take a look. Do you have it handy, Madam Clerk?
I can look it up right now. Item number 22.
Yeah, let me just. $25,000. $25,000. It's a $25,000 donation from BHN to the police department. I do not know. It's below our $100,000 threshold. Project Hope, a counselor said Project Hope.
Sorry, my apologies, I wasn't able to make the meeting, but maybe I don't want to break this up, I just want to keep it together, but can you, if the president allows, Councilor Clegg, can you give us a 30-second review on the Project Hope?
Yes, it wasn't in my meeting, it was in the finance meeting.
The
So
finance meeting,
maybe Kathy or somebody come up and talk about Project Hope. I guess is outreach.
If you allow it, Mr. President.
Well, we can do that if the council would like. I just would like to point out that we do have a rule that says if it's less than 100,000, we'll just approve it and won't have any discussion. If the council would like to allow Councilor Davila to do that, I don't know that there's anybody who'd be here prepared to speak on it. Because
I'm just curious, if Kathy can give me 30 seconds or less, I'm just kind of curious. I don't think
Mr. Sheehan's coming
if she's
forward.
prepared, that's all.
I can speak to the question, Counselor. You're asking specifically what the $25,000 is going to be used for?
Project Hope.
It's actually going to be used for homeless outreach and mental health services.
Okay, good enough. All right, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
On acceptance of items 16 through 22, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen?
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello? Yes, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton?
Yes. More than sufficient. Grants are accepted. Item number 25, Madam Clerk.
Item 25 is the Chapter 268 of the Acts of 2022 Economic Development Bill earmark, no match required in the amount of $500,000.
Mr. Connors?
Thank you, Mr. President. Brian Connors, Economic Development. This item was an earmark that the Latino Economic Development Corporation received from the state for a micro enterprise minority and woman-owned small business grant program. The state requested that the city be the conduit for the earmark. President of the Latino Economic Development Corporation, Andrew Melendez, is here with us tonight as well, should there be any questions about the program.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. Any comments or questions from the council? Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you. I'm familiar with LEDC and Andrew and the work that they do. I'm just curious as to why this particular earmark is going through the Economic Development Office, and is there any administrative fees that you will be charging on the funds?
We will not be charging any funds. The state requested the city be the fiscal agent for this grant and then provide it directly to LEDC, but we don't take any of the $500,000. It all goes to LEDC.
So you're just a pass-through entity. And then, so this came through the 2022 Economic Development Bill. Did you all get a letter that it will be funded?
I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Mr. Melendez?
Yes, so the Office of Economic Development, Joe Harrington, has approved this contract, and if it is approved today, then the funding will start as of July 8th.
And I know historically LEDC has serviced predominantly Latino-owned small businesses, so I just wanted to know if services will be expanded to other small businesses in other communities?
So I think the great piece of this legislation is that this is going to serve all minority communities throughout the city of Springfield, Latino, Black, woman-owned, and LGBTQ. So we want to ensure that all minorities in the city of Springfield have this opportunity to receive micro grants to support their small business.
Oh, and it's a grant, it's not a loan, so that's good. Also, how will you be, so I'm asking you all these questions because you're getting a lot of earmarks and money right now, and I just want to make sure that it's fair and equitable, because through the Coalition for an Equitable Economy, that's what we do, and that's my day job. So I just want to make sure that the process is fair and equitable. I want to make sure that women are getting their fair share, LGBTQAI plus is getting their fair share, and I just want to know how you're going to market to communities outside of the Latino communities.
Absolutely. So, through the city of Springfield, we want to reach out to those small businesses. When somebody is registering a small business, we want to be able to receive their information or re-certifying their business certificate. In addition, want to partner with the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce and also support the new established Black Chamber of Commerce as well in the city of Springfield to reach out to all communities within the city. So it is my prerogative as leading this organization with this grant to ensure that there's a fair percentage throughout all small businesses throughout the city of Springfield.
So, Andrew, I appreciate the work that you do. Me and you had this personal conversation, but I wanted it on the record. You once before said to me that you want to try to you still want to help the Latino community, of course, but you want to open it up and help more small businesses. So I just wanted you to say it on the record because a lot of earmarks are coming your way from our state legislation, and we need to make sure that they are also being fair and equitable. And I do talk to them as well, as you know, but there's a lot of communities that need help and support, so I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing and the work that you're going to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Andrew, good seeing you. Just a quick question. This is, that's a grant, correct? I think you just said?
Yes, these would be mini grants, yes.
It's a grant. Now, this $500,000, is that for how many, 1 year? How long is this?
So we want to spread it out through 18 months, and every single quarter we'll be giving out a large amount of these mini grants, ranging from $1,000 to $10,000. So I wanted to make sure that we meet people where they're at. Sometimes people just need a $2,500 sign to let people know what they need, or they need a new refrigerator for their kitchen.
Right.
So I want to be able to have that range.
Now, Andrew, is the whole, how much of that $500,000 is going to go toward grants?
$300,000.
And the rest is going to be used towards?
For technical assistance, for a grant, part-time grant manager, and to support our staff and the business center that we're looking to expand. Future notice on that as well.
Right. Now, Andrew, my final question, so the people that are home that are watching, where are you guys located?
I'm so sorry?
So that people at home that are watching are aware of your entity. Where are you guys located in Springfield?
Right on 24th Street. The good thing is we're the only other business on 4th Street next to the Student Prince. And if you want to reach us, very easy, latinoeconomicdevelopment.org. And also to point out to Councilor Whitfield's comments, I do want to be on the record to say that the Latino agenda and the Latino Economic Development Corporation's agenda is to serve all communities in the city of Springfield. So as we evolve, we want to be the hub and catalyst for micro businesses.
Very well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you,
I will be happy to vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors? Councilor Delgado and Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just did have a few questions on what specific, so you mentioned a couple random things like signage, but what specific are you intending to use? Is it kind of as people come, like what are the actual guidelines that folks who want to apply, what is it they have to qualify for?
So, Councilor, the one thing that we've made sure that's been clear through our first 18 months, we give out close to $180,000 of micro grants. We want these to be broad. We want somebody to be able to reach out and say that currently, due to potential construction, I'm back on rent because of traffic flow. I need some support with operational expenses to support staff. In addition, we want to be able to have that broad range, really to meet people where they're at. And I will say the city has made a strong investment within small businesses, and we wanted to make sure that we are broad enough to serve those needs.
So it'll be both brand-new businesses and established businesses, I'm assuming?
These would be businesses that at least have a business certificate in the city of Springfield, a LLC with the state, and are legitimate business within the city of Springfield.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Councilor Delgado. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm really impressed, and I'm glad to hear that, you know, the Latino Economic Development Center is getting more earmarks. And I'll be abstaining from this vote because as a woman-owned business and a person of color owning a business, I'm certainly always looking for opportunities to expand my business. And I want to comment on the businesses that you are going to be helping out, the Latino businesses, the Black businesses, other businesses specifically who are not necessarily white, right? Would be, I consider them, and I don't like hearing the term minorities, because we're not minorities anymore. In Springfield, we're actually a majority, and actually across the country. So finding a way from that language for us to get away from it, I think, because, you know, as we know, that language was developed initially as derogatory and a way to, you know, make people feel like they're a minority. So I commend the work that you're doing, Andrew, at the LEDC, and I want to just continue to, you know, support you and see that you're supporting all the other communities in the city of Springfield. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other councilors on the order? Councilor Click-Bruce.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Andrew. Go way back. Really, I just have a question. Thank you for all the work you're doing in our city. What would be the process for someone applying? Again, I don't know, so I just want to ask, is it something that they can go online to do, obviously, and obviously in person, but what would be the process to that? And then, to me specifically, what would kind of be the outreach? I know you spoke generally working through the city. Will we do some social media, some other avenues to get out to our folks?
Absolutely. So in a part of our match from the LEDC, we want to be able to do that advertisement. We want to be able to have this hyperlink on the City of Springfield's website and other partners as the Springfield Chamber of Commerce. In addition, we know that businesses are busy, right? You know, and we have to many times go door to door. I do want to be able to also connect them to other city grants as well. So if there is a storefront improvement grant and we see that they fit for that, we're going to have that technical assistance to pay for that grant writing. This will be a grant that I hope individuals will be able to get done within 10 minutes. The worst thing is that somebody cannot get, they don't have the time after a 15-hour day of working at the barbershop or working at the restaurant to get this application done. So we want it to be a smooth process, but we also want to make sure that if they receive this grant, that we're able to track them and monitor their success. So there will be a clawback of provision in there to say, if you're receiving this grant, we want you to stay in the city of Springfield, and make sure that they're supported with all the city services.
Thank you. And one final question. Would it be something similar to if they have to spend it, serve receipts to get the money, or is something that you're just giving them, say, I know $10,000 cap, say here, it's yours, do what you want with it, or, you know, what is sort of preliminary? You may not have that answer now, but kind of what is that process?
So traditionally, we will give the grant and do an award ceremony, and they'll get a check on that day.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you for the work that you do. I appreciate what you're doing in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Click-Bruce. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to also thank you for the work that you do. Definitely appreciate all the work you do. Now, my question is, I know on the state level, and even on some of the state levels, you know, when we think of minorities, there still are different, different minority groups. Is there going to be a certain number set aside? Because sometimes they're going to be a certain amount of women groups, black groups, Latino groups. Is there going to be a certain amount to make sure that one area isn't overly concentrated in as the other area? Like one group isn't overly, it isn't getting all the programming and funding, and as the other groups, is there going to be a certain tracking process?
So, Councilor, thank you so much. So each grant round will have, again, a fair and equitable percentage throughout of those categories. As we know, woman-owned businesses might fluctuate because we might have many Black-owned, woman-owned businesses and Latino-owned woman-owned businesses and LBGT woman-owned businesses. So that percentage might the scale might tilt one way or the other on certain criterias, but I do want to ensure you that that we want to make sure that the demographics of the city of Springfield will be mimicked within the small businesses. And at the end of the day, we want to be able to support all businesses within the city of Springfield. And the majority of them are Black, Latino, woman-owned, and LGBTQ, and we want to be able to support those businesses that are making such a great impact here in the city.
And I do commend you, but in my area, Mason Square, it's a Black area, and there's very huge discrepancy between Black employment and Latino employment. If you went to the actual eyelash, you won't see one Black person. So, I mean, and we don't have too many Black businesses. So, I just want to make sure I know when you get state funded and things like that, that we make sure with the rep, that you make sure each group, it is a disparity, even also if you think of it, employment. If a person wants to say, bilingual is a plus, that takes the Black person ability now, unless we drill a grant and teach Black people how to speak Spanish. But there is a huge discrepancy between Black business owners. So I would just hope that, you do a fantastic job. I would just hope that we can get some of the referrals of Black owners, to get in touch with you. Because a lot of times it's probably a lot of the educational portions people don't know what's going on. But there is a huge discrepancy. All you would have to do is come into my area and ask. But thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just following up on something that Councilor Click Bruce said, and I agree with some of the comments that Councilor Brown said also. However, I'm going to ask you a question first. When we talk about micro businesses, Rep. Gonzalez put together some legislative requirements around micro businesses. I think 20 or 10 employees or less, 250,000 in net revenue, and something else. Is that the requirement that you'll be using, or if it passes through the Senate, it passed the House, waiting on the Senate side, would that be the micro business requirement that you will be using also?
Not necessarily, but I do agree with Chairman Gonzalez's bill. So 10 employees or less and 250,000 of net profit for that business. So we do know that micro businesses are struggling and they need that support. We do think that this is a pilot that the state will be able to mimic throughout the state. This is a unique opportunity for the city of Springfield to showcase its businesses and also how potentially a small grant can kickstart a business. And to Councilor Brown, I agree with you, and I would love the opportunity to walk with you across the vacant storefronts or other Black-owned businesses in Mason Square to support them. Let's meet people where they're at. Let's see if they can stop cooking or serving for a moment and help them along the way to know that a 10-minute application could potentially get them some funding to help them out. So.
And I think diversity is across the city now. I don't know if Mason Square is predominantly Black anymore. I'm not sure on those stats because we're all spread out. So just helping whoever you can that need the help is important. In the BIPOC community and other underserved or underrepresented communities, I guess those are the terms that we can use. So I really applaud you on this effort. However, we do need some guidelines in place. As a small business owner, I have a property development company, and we've been giving grants, and there's no tracking system. We could use that money for anything, right? And I think that along with the grants, you should consider, and it's just a consideration and a thought, offering small business technical assistance, because just giving these grants is like a Band-Aid, and then the small business is right back in the same situation that they were before after they spent the money. So consider if they have an accounting need, give them the money, but follow them, help them pick out an accountant and help them with financial statements or whatever trainings that they need to help their back office support, marketing, web development, whatever it is, but make sure that when they get the fund is intentional, or they're gonna be in the same situation that they've already been in, right? So that's just one thought, to pair it with technical assistance. And then, you know, I'm getting old, I always lose my second thought when I get to the one thought. But I do appreciate this work and the conversations that we have, and I'm looking forward to the business information center that you envision, Andrew, and I support it, and that's my final comments, even if I remember.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors on approval of this order? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the order, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado. Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 26.
Item 26 is an appropriation order for taking damages for 9 properties on Liberty Street in the amount of $634,000.
Good evening. Ms. Quagliato Sullivan.
Good evening. So items 26 and 27 are related. 26 is the appropriation, and then 27 is the order of taking. I'll start by saying the City Council previously approved a portion of this with approval of the $500,000 in CPA funding that makes up the bulk of the acquisition cost. The project involves acquisition of 9 vacant lots, totaling approximately 230,000 square feet or 5.2 acres, which will be utilized for conservation purposes. This will serve as a connector between approximately 21.46 acres of conservation land on the east side of Liberty Street around Abbey Brook and 25 acres of conservation land on the west side of Liberty Street. The project is supported by the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council, which is the impacted neighborhood, and the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council and neighborhood residents were the primary advocates for this. The properties will be permanently restricted for conservation and passive recreational purposes, and that restriction would be held by the Mass Audubon Society on behalf of the CPC, as CPA guidelines require that the city may not hold the restriction on itself. And I'm happy to answer any other questions on this.
Thank you, Ms. Quagliato Sullivan. Any questions or comments on this matter? Okay. Seeing none. Councilor Whitfield?
I just wanted to say I'm so happy you didn't use free cash. That's it.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the order, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez absent, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Appropriation is approved. Item number 27, Madam Clerk.
Item number 27 is an order of taking of land for the community preservation.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the order, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez absent, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved. Thank you, councilors, for supporting that important project. Item number 28, Madam Clerk.
Item 28 is collective bargaining agreement ratification for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 1596A.
Good evening, Mr. Mahoney.
Good evening, councilors. Bill Mahoney, Director of HR and Labor Relations. I'm pleased to report that we have a tentative agreement with AFSCME Council 1596A. This is the union that represents our reference librarians, our branch supervisors, our children's librarian, our teen center librarians, our teen services librarians. It's a series of 2 contracts. The first one is July 1, 24 to June 30th of 25, and the second contract is July 1, 25 to June 30th of 28. Negotiations began on January 18th of 24. We had 6 bargaining sessions, and the union notified us on June 20th that they've ratified the agreements with us. There are wage increases in these contracts. They are 2% each year, so 2, 2, 2, and 2. There's a one-time $650 signing bonus for full-time employees and a one-time $350 signing bonus for part-time employees. We've added Juneteenth as a holiday to this contract. We've added a sick leave bank. We've added the military leave ordinance provisions from the City Council passed a few years back, and the cancer screening benefits that we have in some of our other contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Any comments or questions from the council? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, is there any comments or questions from the council?
Yeah, just one. Which employees are these?
These are the librarians, the library supervisors, the reference librarians, the teen services librarians, children's librarians. There's about 61 of them in the bargaining unit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Approval of item 28.
On approval of the agreement, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez absent, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Collective bargaining agreement is approved. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Item number 29, Madam Clerk.
Item 29 is the amendment to Article 5 of Chapter 385 of the ordinance of the City of Springfield.
Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment of Article 5, Chapter 35, talks about giving our veterans here free parking in parking meters within the city of Springfield. The sponsors of this are myself as the original sponsor, Councilor Davila. It's also co-sponsored by Councilor Santinello and Councilor Walsh. This idea, Mr. President, or this token of saying thank you to our beloved veterans came about from an ordinance that was passed of the city of Holyoke and the city of Pittsfield, where they do provide their veterans free parking in city-owned meter parking and city-owned garages. My intention was to include the garages as well. I have since been advised by the law department, by Attorney Moore, that because the city garages fall within the purview of the parking authority, that they will not be able to be folded unless the parking authority agrees. So that's why we're moving forward with just this, which is within our purview. This has been properly vetted by the law department. It's a good way of saying thank you to our veterans. If you don't mind, Mr. President, maybe if appropriate, the clerk can read this short ordinance amendment into the record so people can know exactly what it is. Would the clerk read it, or? I can, yeah. Madam Clerk, if you could read it, if the President allows.
That's fine if you can pull it up, Madam Clerk.
Or I can read it, so whichever. If you could read it, please.
So the amendment to Article 5 of Chapter 385 of the Ordinance of the City of Springfield reads as follows by adding a new section after Section 385-17 as follows. Section 385-17A, veteran use of the municipal parking meters. Any veteran who holds a veteran license plate as defined below shall be able to utilize all municipal parking meters in the City of Springfield provided for in Chapter 385 without a fee to utilize said meter. A veteran's license plate shall be defined as a license plate that is issued to a veteran as defined by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, Clause 43, by the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles that includes the wording veteran on said plate. The veteran must be driving a vehicle with the veteran's license plate on the vehicle to be able to utilize the municipal parking meters referenced above without a permit of fee. This ordinance shall not be interpreted to include a veteran's usage of a handicapped parking spot without the required placard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. President, so in order for a veteran to park for free in the city of Springfield in a city-issued parking meter, they have to have a appropriate license plate issued by the state of Massachusetts that says veteran on it. If you're a veteran, you don't have the plate, that will not apply to you. If you are a veteran and you don't have and you only have a handicap, it does not apply to you. Only with with a veteran plate issued by the state of Massachusetts. It is my intention, Mr. President, to pass first step today, and then send this perhaps to the General Government Committee for further vetting, and then when we come back from recess, maybe in August, we can finalize this. And as a token of saying thank you to our veterans and to follow our great cities, sister cities of Holyoke and Pittsfield. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any comments or questions? Councilor Govan? Oh, well, Councilor Walsh, she's a co-sponsor, if that's okay with you. Councilor Walsh.
I think this is a wonderful idea, and to thank our veterans. I'm very happy to support, and I was pleased to work on this with Victor and Councilor Santinello, and I hope it passes tonight 100%.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a question. Does it cost more money to get a veteran's plate than a regular plate? Councilor Walsh probably would know that. But is it an additional fee as opposed to a regular license plate? Do you know?
I think there's an additional cost.
Okay. Okay, and I was just wondering because maybe a lot of veterans don't have the license plate because they're not, able to get the the additional cost, or they don't even know about the veterans plate. So maybe I really support this because I agree with Councilor Davila that we should thank our veterans at every opportunity that we get. But maybe we could have some sort of an educational campaign so they know that they can have access to that plate. We have to see how much more it would cost so that it would save them money on the other end in parking. So thank you. I would certainly support this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Whitfield?
Thank you. So I recently did my Ancestry.com, and I found out that my great-great-great and my great-great-great-great fought in World War I and World War II, and my father fought in Vietnam War. But as you know, when they came back to this country, they got zero, right? They were treated just like slaves, right? And so I support this because I think that veterans deserve this extra benefit. But I also think that if it is an extra fee, that maybe is something the city can eat up some of that cost too, as an appreciation to some of our, to our veterans that fought for us, right? I'm looking on the website right now, and I don't see additional fee, but usually for specialty plates, it is an additional fee. It might not be that much, but maybe we can use some MGM funds that's still sitting there doing nothing with it to pay for it, to help out some of our residents in the city of Springfield. So I'm definitely going to support that. And I think that we should look to do more for veterans in this country overall, especially those that came back to brutality and things like that. So thank you, Councilor Davila, Walsh, and Santinello for putting this forward.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Any other councilors? Councilor Click Bruce?
Thank you, Council President. I'll be real short. Thank you, Councilor Davila, and also Councilor Santinello and Councilor Walsh for really bringing this forward. Definitely 1,000% in support of this because, again, my dad is a veteran, and this is something that I think we should be doing, and we should be looking at ways to, which everybody said already, ways to honor our veterans who fought for our country and then come back to civilization. This is great, and I'm happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Any other councilors? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, matter for first step passage, item number 29.
On passage of first steps, Councilor Walsh.
Absolutely.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. First step is approved. Madam Clerk, any more business?
There is not.
Okay, council will stand adjourned until our next meeting, which is scheduled for August 19th.
Mr. President?
Councilor Govan.
I'm sorry. I meant to abstain from item number 25. Can I change my vote, please, Madam Clerk? Or is that too
Item
late?
Well, let's note for the record that you tried, and
Okay.
we'll figure out if you can actually do that. I
All
don't
right.
know if we can do it after the matters, we've gone past it and on to the other items.
All
but
right, thank
Maybe
you.
we can have Attorney Shea weigh in on that later, Madam Clerk. But we'll make sure it's no issue, Councilor
make a
Govan. So the council will stand adjourned until August 19th. Two other housekeeping items. I want to thank Councilor Allen, who's participating from Ireland. It's after 2 a.m. Thanks for sticking with us. And lastly, councilors, did we find the audio to be better tonight overall? Okay, very good. So thank you very much to Focus Springfield for the investment and their continued work to make this a better situation for us overall. So council adjourned. Thank you.